more about gel coat.
When the fourth round...
Don't you call in the... More importantly, he knew what he was talking about.
Oh, does it look good already? Okay. Jumbo Scampi for limited...
All for a price that will make you...
How the hell am I supposed to pay?
This is Rick Simpson, and you're listening to People for People Radio, the voice of truth in Scotland.
And welcome everybody to Nation today. And today we have Jim Graywolf from the World Summit. And number one, I want to thank peopleforpeopleradio.me.net for allowing us to come on today. And I also want to thank Wolf Spirit Radio that is simulcasting this show today. And we got a very interesting show today. So this is the thing about the World Summit and what it's standing for and what it's wanting to do. And what I'm going to do right now is, James, if you're ready, we're gonna hand it over to you for a second and let you tell what this thing is all about. You ready, my brother?
Always ready, brother. So thank you for that. Let me try to do this briefly, which I'm not very good at, but I'll try. First of all, welcome to all who are listening. It's a real pleasure to be here and an honor always to broadcast with my brother, Two Dog. Yeah, we're going to talk about some different groups today, but I want to talk about what's going on in the world around us. Two Dog and I do shows about being peaceful warriors. And so everything I do, I try to do in a peaceful fashion. I've been involved with a lot of the movements lately. Standing Rock, especially in the virtual realm, Water is Life, some of the women's movements and the youth movements. But the thing we're not addressing, I believe, and a lot of other people believe, is the overall causes of what's going on today. All the dis-ease that's going on in the world around us. So let's talk about that some today. We're hitting all the symptoms. You know, we're working on Standing Rock type things, and we're working on Water is Life, women's movements, immigrant movements. We're working on all the symptoms, but the causes are going unaddressed. And so we've got a couple of groups really active right now addressing that. One of them is the World Summit that my brother mentioned. The purpose of the World Summit, the mission, is to pull together all groups globally, to come together and have a huge global event where we sit and we create new paradigms, new ways to function. And I think that's really powerful and something we need to do. World Summit doesn't have all the answers, nor do any of the other groups that are functioning out there. But we think together we can come up with some good solutions. The other group is one that I began with some other people. It's called 1,000 Points of Light. Now, that's been used by a bunch of different groups in the past, but we're using it as people around the globe holding their lights high, and we become the 1,000 Points of Light. We start changing things just by coming together. So we're likewise looking to have a bunch of different event groups going on in June of next year, June of 2019. These will be a little different than the World Summit, and yet we'll all be connected as one. These will be, we're hoping, it's up to the people who step up, but we're hoping to have elements of action, of prayer, of education, and of ceremony, so that we can honor all cultures and all ways of walk. And some may want to focus in one area and some in another area. But this will be likewise. People coming together, standing up, and talking about what's going on and what do we need to change it. And then when all of this is over, it's a new beginning. Shift the paradigm, not ask permission, as we say in the World Summit, for what we're doing, not ask anyone to do it for us, but to do it ourselves. And that's never happened before. A gathering like this has never happened before. We know about the prophecies. Certainly we know about the prophecies of the four colors coming together. But there's a lot of other global prophecies about all people coming together and standing up and creating what they want in a good way. And that's what I see this is doing. So I better be quiet before Two Dog pulls the plug on me. Take it back, brother.
Well, this is the thing, Jim. We do these shows together, you and I, and we work on each other on this. But when you talk about the World Summit and these different organizations come together, no one has all the answers here. So do you do this just to get these different organizations together to bring forth a understanding of all togetherness in how this is to be done? Each group from around the world are talking, right?
Yeah, no, you're that's a really good question, and it's not easy. We have some amazing people in the World Summit. We're just a small group so far. There's like 17 or 18 of us in the core group. There's a lot of other people joining up. But they're reaching out and connecting with groups of all sorts. Now their focus is more on this concentrated event in one place next year. So I think that's awesome. We need to do that. But we also felt, some of us, we needed that diversity. So if we expect my brother Two Dog here to host one of the events on his turf with his people, we're not going to say, here's how you need to do it.
Right.
Because, yeah, right? I mean, why would you do that? But we're going to say, brother, if you and your people are willing, we don't care how you do this. Go into ceremony, go into prayer, go into all of the pieces. Then, join us. If we touch with a group of young people, they're going to want to hear music. They're going to have some action because they have a lot of energy. So we're not going to say, no, you can't do that. We're going to say, do it. Show us. And all of these things, because you know so well, my brother, these things talk to all of us. Whether it's prayer talking to all of us, or ceremony, or intellectual pursuits, or music, or art, it's all one. It's all mitakriyase, all my relations. What do you think?
Yeah, well, that's exactly true. The thing that a lot of our brothers are concerned about, and I'm going to say this, James, so Jim, just follow me what I'm going to say. You take elders like ourselves that have done these things and been doing these things, I truthfully think also that we need the young people to walk with us. These are the next ones that pick up the sticks, so to speak. What do you think about that? Getting the young people involved, because us as elders, we may not be here that much longer. So what I'm saying is, do you have or you think that's right to get the young people more and more involved?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I've talked about this for a long time, and now I'm really watching it play out. And you're right, we're called elders now. I call myself a human being and an older one. But if our tribe calls us elders, then we have to accept that role. And that's a fine role, and I'm glad to play it. I really think even more than that, Two Dog, I think it's the young ones who need to lead this. I think we need to be more and more in a support capacity. We did a nice ceremony here 2 nights ago. It was my wife Sue and 4 younger people. 2 of them just turning 40, 2 of them in their, I think, early to mid-30s. And these 4 young ones were amazing. One of them has walked the red road a long time, and so I pretty much sat back and let him run the ceremonies. I did when I was asked, of course, and I spoke, and I led my part of the prayers. But it felt good, brother. It felt really good to know I'm there. If they need something, ask, but not to get in the way. And so when the music started, and all 4 of the others are great musicians and singers, Sue was on the big drum, and she brought in energy like higher than I've ever heard. The 2 young men with us have incredible voices, and so they did some of the traditional songs of different cultures, and some native ones. And so I was kind of caused to speak, and I did, that just this, that I feel like now my job is to sit back, to advise, certainly to do my part, whatever's asked, but let these other folks, and not just young ones, but people who have not been approached for what they think in a long time. And so I think that's going to be critical. I mean, we didn't get that support so many years ago, brother, when we stood up and tried to, right?
Well, yeah, because let me explain something, ladies and gentlemen, if I may. And this is amazing. This is amazing to me. Jim actually was marching when he was 18 years old in the Martin Luther King movement, and he met this little boy that was 8 years old. And how do I say this, Jim? 50 years later, we're doing it again. We're right here with each other again. You see what I'm saying, Jim?
I do. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And those were powerful days. Dr. King showed us that the peaceful approach was best, because I was also in the anti-Vietnam efforts, and there we threw bricks and we hated, and we didn't do too well because we're still at wars. But Dr. King said, keep it quiet, keep it peaceful. And that's what's working now, and that's what this is all about. One of these people from the other night is actually sitting here in the room listening to the show. So I'll be curious to see what she thinks as we go along. Sorry, I lost the button here. Okay, back on. Sorry. Yeah, so it's addressing all the issues at once. Go ahead, brother.
Well, you know, the thing that struck me is, you know, I've been working for peace since the early '60s, and your message just resonates with me. You know, because this is exactly what we're all wanting around the world. To be honest, is to be, you know, live the life that we want. You know, with peace, love, honor, respect with each other. And that's the message that I hear resonating with the World Summit right now. And we also have a thing called the 1,000 Points of Light, if I ain't mistaken. And with that, my brother, if you can, tell the people what that's all about.
Sure, and that's the second part of it I'm talking about. And you can find both of these on Facebook. So if you're interested in both or either approach, please come and join us. We're getting people from around the world. We want more. 1,000 Points of Light is the ability for groups to form, to plan, to do things together so we can shift the paradigm that we're functioning under in their own ways. And so that means dog. If you want to come together with your people and hold 11 days of ceremony in next June, then that's what you do. If another group wants to hold 11 days of prayer, so be it. If another group wants to do a music concert for 11 days, let's go with it. They will all come together. They will all meld. They will be connected virtually. We're going to stream between one group and the other, and we're going to stream some of what the World Summit is doing. So all of this together means all people together. And so I want to see more of what Sue and I saw at Standing Rock. I want to see truly white, red, black, and yellow together. I want to be standing next to a black relative who is standing next to a red relative, who is standing next to a yellow relative, who's standing next to a young woman who's standing next to an old man. You hear what I'm saying, right, brother?
Oh, yeah. What you're basically talking about, Jane, is pretty much about the prophecy also of the rainbow prophecy in many ways. That is also what you're speaking about, right?
Yeah, I am. And not the way that some have, in all these things, you have people who do it in a good way, and you have people who don't. This is being done in a good way. You're absolutely right. It's the rainbow prophecy of all people coming together. But we're not going to come together to ask for change. We're going to come together and make change. We collectively are going to come up with the ideas, and then we're going to implement them. And nothing can stand in the way of that. At the moment, there's 8.6 billion of we two-leggeds on the planet, and that's another issue we can talk about in a bit. If half of those stood up and said, "Here's what we're going to do," what could stand against that? Nothing.
No, you're right. If just half of that stands up, that would be absolutely awesome. The thing about it is, bruh, and this is how I've always been in my life, ever since I was a little kid. I've never looked what you consider color of a human being. It's the human being in itself, if you see what I'm saying. Martin Luther King said something about the integrity of the individual, and Martin used to talk about seeing children, black, white, red, yellow, all of us. Children see another child, and from somewhere within that childhood, things gets messed up. But I think there is a rebirth in this, don't you think, Jane?
Yeah, no question there is. And this is a rebirth that won't stop because we can't allow it to stop. We've got to make these changes now. And, we used to say, I know I thought about it a lot, and I know you did, that we worry about the 7 generations, that we don't do anything that harms 7 generations from now. Well, the reality right now is got to worry about our own generation. Things have gotten to that point, and I believe they had to. That's also part of the prophecies. Prophecy of the phoenix burning everything down to ash, and then we start rebuilding. Well, I kind of think we're seeing that. Actually, we had I'll just share a light minute here, if I may, because we don't want to get too dark. But as we did this, ceremony a couple nights ago, and singing and music, my wife Sue is very, very peaceful, also very kind and gentle. But she was gifted a new name that night. Now I'm trying to remember it. Oh yeah, Grandmother Thunderbird.
Wow.
And that's because these times require both sides of us. We are still warriors. You and I are a couple of old scarred, angry warriors who are now peaceful warriors, but we're still all warriors. It's just we're coming together and doing things in a different way.
Like myself, James, and the thing about the peaceful warrior that we are becoming, sometimes, I will slip and I will have to ask Grandfather to help me, which I've done quite a bit, but it's a thing of being able to speak to other people and other people helping you along with that, if you see what I'm saying. Because actually, brothers and sisters around the world, what I'm saying is we all need to help each other. We need to help each other. We're all the human being here, and we really truthfully need to help each other. Do you not think, Jane?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no more I am. Now there can only be we are. And, we used to function in the we are. Certainly all the indigenous populations did. My background, Italian Gypsy, we functioned in clans. We functioned in circle. But we've moved so much into the I am and only worrying about ourselves that has hurt us. And you're right. Now we need to come together and join hands and function in the circle again, but in even a better way, so that this can really turn and come about the way we want it to.
So what you're saying is that, and what I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, also, but what James is saying, there was a tribal way, even with his people and people around the world. We were all tribal at one time. It doesn't matter what color you was. We were all tribal at one time. But we have been taught in the residential schools in Canada and the boarding school. What we were taught is me, mine, and I, and that's backwards, ladies and gentlemen. I just have to say, because what James is saying is that we lived in the we, us, and ours. Everything we did it was ours, and everything was done with us. So it was a we, us, and ours, right, James?
Yeah, absolutely. And we are recreating that, and that's what some of these groups are about. No one in these groups leads them. I certainly don't lead them. I'm one who pulling it together with a small group of folks. But then we want everybody to come, and each of us becomes the leader when we need to. Each of us becomes the follower when we need to. And in that way, we move ahead in the best possible way. Because if Two Dog has the best solution to something we're facing, Two Dog needs to step up and be Chief Two Dog. But then when he's done, he needs to sit down. Exactly. And the next person may be a 10-year-old kid. How do we know? And we can't judge. While we're on this,
I've learned, and I'm going to hand it to you. Okay, I'll hand it to you in just a second. But what I've learned in my time, especially with my nation right now, is that everybody in it has a voice, no matter how young. And to be honest, I've learned so much from my own daughter that was 9 years old. She had a voice. And these young people, even the children, the thing about the wisdom that these children come from, we have to stop and listen to them as well. But don't you think, James? But I'm going to hand it to you and give it back and let you say what you had to say. But do you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I learn so much more from anybody I work with than they learn from me. And maybe it's of a different sort. I carry a lot of things I've learned. I'm 68. For 35 years I went around the world learning from different cultures. So I carry that and I can share that. But I don't know some of what's going on now. I don't know what somebody who's growing up now has learned. And so it's got to be a two-way street. And this is a good segue, if I can bring in a guest. Our friend Amber is here, who's a brand new friend. We didn't even know him 5 days ago. But she's one of the people who is, she's kind of an in-between generation. She's just turning 40. So we're in the 60s, she's 40, and then you got your 20s, and then you got your teens. I'm just curious what she thinks about all this, if it's all right with you.
Yeah, please do. And welcome to the show.
Thank you. Wow, what I'm seeing is a really beautiful roots revolution occurring where some of these young people of my generation and below have started having these festivals and these parties, and then they realized that they didn't want to party anymore, that they wanted to bring that way of life into their circles, and so they're now called conscious festivals, and they're beginning to become a great grounds of training for all aquaponics and permaculture and seed banks and clean water. And I have a 13-year-old son, and he's really interested in ways to clean the ocean and ways to really readdress the way that the economy, shifting the shared economy between each other and having equal value, having the medical practitioner having equal value as the farmer. And you can earn credits and share your gifts in that way so that those people can receive those treatments that we need, that healing in our body as well. And often they're not affordable. So really readdressing the way that the systems are created from the ground up.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. That's beautiful to have this kind of, support here, James.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And, Amber's tapping into exactly what a lot of us are seeing as issues here. We've got a lot of symptoms going on out there. We've got water we can't drink. Here in the U.S., we've got little kids being put in cages. Can't even talk. So all these symptoms are out there. We have overpopulation. We have destruction of our environment. So we need to look at the causes. Looking at the causes, a big one is, of course, the world control, which is the political system, the religious system, the financial system, the business system. They're all controlled by a very small number of people who have most of the money. So that needs to change. Once that happens, we create new political structures, but that's just the beginning. We can change and heal the causes. We can go upstream, if you know that story about the native who came to the river and had to go upstream to find the causes of problems. And that's great. We need to do that. That's really number one. But that's where we start. It doesn't end there. It doesn't automatically heal all the symptoms. We have to address them. I've been going back and forth with people over overpopulation for the last couple days. I've got people calling me names. I've got people telling me I'm a fool. I've got people telling me there's no overpopulation. We'll just use science to create more food. And all of that, I'm sorry, is nonsense. We have too many people. All animals understand when there's too many of them, they have to slow down. Except we two-leggeds. Right? I mean, 8.6 billion people. Give me a break. The science shows that it's 3 times over a sustainable level. And, that doesn't mean we're going to go out and kill half the people, but we as people have to decide we are not going to procreate at this level. We've got to procreate at a level that's less than it is now. So those numbers start to decrease. The mother
what you're saying is what you're saying is to be sustainable to the to Makahina, the Earth Mother, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Because if we're not, we're going to deplete all of her resources.
Yeah, I feel that sustainability is really the key component that we need to use within each project that we begin to develop. And I just really want to spread a message of hope and good cheer that I am seeing it occur. It's under the radar. It is happening with this generation that's in their 20s. They're very interested in freedom of seed bank and resources, and so I'm seeing them create new systems. They have the ability to not continue in the way that things have been done before and changing. So we're in the time of the change makers, where we're breaking the chains and coming up with these new bridges, bridging ancient technology of the natural way of working with the Earth Mother, and then using our new technology to really give back and to create the clean soil. And that's what I feel some of this natural disasters that are happening, there may be a sweeping out of a great amount of the population so that we can sustain ourselves. And the message that I've been given is to just take one step at a time and continue in celebration, and we're not going to be able to fight against it. It's about just doing what we love, and the key components of people who are gifted in each of the needed realms will come together, and they'll have the skills that are needed. So just keep going with what's alive in your heart and birth that.
Right. Now, that's awesome just to hear. So we're on the second hour right now, but are fixing to be. And that's the truth. Now, here's what I want to do. Why I have you on. To the lady that we just heard, I want to do this because this first hour. Yeah, I know. I get a little confused sometimes. But one of the things I would like to do for the lady that you have just been hearing, this is only my culture, so I want to do this for you. And in my culture, we think of women as the earth, sisters to the earth. You clothe, you feed, you give birth, just as the earth mother does. So it is always up to me as a man and a warrior to always bow to the life giver, which I am doing, because without you there'd be no life. Men and women have to come together and heal each other. It's been a lot of hurt in the past. And we got to come together and start healing each other and walk together. Now, the reason I said that also, James, is because you mentioned something to me many times since we've been doing shows together. Okay, and one of the things that you've mentioned is one people's one tribe. Okay, one people's one tribe. Can you elaborate to the people that are listening about that one people, one tribe mentality that you're talking about? Sure.
And then we also have a grandmother here. We can bring her in for thoughts. Yeah, I mean, I like to put it one mother, one tribe, but it's the same idea. There's one earth. We got one house we all live in. So we need to be one tribe. And we were one tribe until we were separated, and we still have the powers that be do everything they can to keep us divided, to keep us fighting with each other. Well, that's not going to work. We need to be one mother, one tribe. We're all working with the mother, with the earth, with all her creatures, because, again, this isn't just about us two-leggeds. And we know that.
Aye.
Oh. But
yeah, we know that.
We do, but we tend to forget, and we can't forget anymore. So when I'm invited to do something, or Sue and I are invited to do something, I'm thrilled when I see a good, diverse group around us, because now let's just kick this off. Well, you know, James, you've inspired me quite a bit, but you're also adopted Lakota, and you had a teacher. I know I've heard you speak of him. Is there any words of wisdom that your teacher gave you that you can give to the people? If you see what I'm asking. Yeah, I do. All right, I'll spend a quick minute on this. I was born Italian gypsy, and my grandmother was medicine woman for 4 clans in Italy until she came here, and then she stopped doing it. But I am adopted Lakota. I am adopted Mayan. I've worked with Aborigine people. I've worked with Garifuna, African people. I've worked with Celtic. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple. I'm sorry if any of my friends are listening. So I'm a mongrel, which is great, because I have a little bit of each of the understandings in me. You have full, great understanding of your people's way, and other people have full, great understanding of theirs. But, yeah, I'm kind of that mongrel. And so, yeah, I've been attacked at times, especially when I started out, because there weren't many of us pale faces in the black circles or the red circles or the yellow circles. But you know what? Most people are fully accepting. It's that small minority, once again, who want to stop any change. And that's what we can't allow now. You know, my teachers used to say, Jim, when the time comes, some people, especially people like you with diverse backgrounds, are going to have to be out there pulling together the four colors. And so I took that very seriously. And I would challenge everybody who's listening today and everyone who listens to the archive of this to do the same. Do all you can to bring in your people and other people. Because truly, as another one of my teachers, Yellow Hair, used to say, all people are my people. And he's right. You know, one mother, one tribe. All people are my people. You don't have to look like me. You don't have to sound like me. You don't have to believe what I believe. But you're still my people.
Exactly. I mean, that I can't argue with that whatsoever. You know, because honestly, and I'm going to say this, James, while we're on here, so I want to see what you think about this as well. All right. Basic deal is that you know, and if I go somewhere and I come home, I love my wife, I love my kids. I eat with them. I sleep. You know, I sleep. I wake up. I play with my kids. We laugh. We joke. We cry together. We do everything. Okay. So what I think is, don't you? So if you do the same as I do, that way. Now culturally, we may be a little different. That's understandable. But I think that most people, when they come home, they love their wives, their husbands, their children. They eat together, they sleep, and they laugh and cut up and cry together and do everything I do. So we're not, culturally, we're a little different, but all in all, we're not that different, don't you think, James?
Yeah, absolutely. The first time you and I spoke, we became brothers. And we just knew that. It had nothing to do with with our differences. It had to do with our similarities. And that's something that, here's a good spot to pull Sue in. That's something the women, especially the grandmothers, have understood for a long, long time. Some of we men and some of the other people haven't understood that. So what do you think about that?
Well, I totally think, you know, I was a follower for a little bit of the Lakota Wisdom Keepers, okay? And the Lakota Wisdom Keepers actually stated that once a man learns how to cry, he understands compassion, understanding. You see? And I'm full on that. And the grandmothers are always there for you. They have the head clan mother of my tribe always gives me advice. I always go to her if I have something going on. You know, that's the old way of doing things as well. But I see right now, James, we actually do have a grandmother that can speak right now. Or do you think?
Sure. Let's see what she'll say. Get ready, two dogs. We may be in trouble.
Well, welcome, Sue.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. What I see is with the grandmothers, I mean, we have been through so much from the time we were born, many of us, especially if we were very connected spiritually. It's been really, really difficult for many. And there's just this interconnection to everything around us, and there has to be. I mean, it's in our spirit, it's in our soul, it's in our bodies that we are all one. We are all connected. Everything we see around us. Now, I don't understand half of what's going on in this world. It just boggles my mind, the lack of connection, heartfelt connection to other people, to children, to anything, anything that lives on this earth. It's incredibly sad to me to see people raising their children to step on bugs and ants and things of that nature. And, I've had to deal with these things with my grandchildren, too, to say, hey, there's a bumblebee there. Don't be afraid of this bumblebee. You can actually go up and you can actually touch it. And I've spent time with my grandchildren doing that, and they were just in awe, just not believing that you could possibly do anything like that with these creatures. So I just, the grandmothers, we just know that things need to change. We know in our hearts that life needs to move forward, and we can only do that if we connect with each other, connect heart to heart, do what we need to do to sustain this world. And I wanted to share earlier that running this little B&B and having the different young folks coming here, it's just been incredibly amazing. The ones that are gravitating to us, not so much for who we are, but to these areas, but the combination thereof for what we do and what we bring. But these people are just, these young ones are just getting really tired of what's going on, and they're seeing what's happening. I had one young couple that said they're on the road back and forth to work 40 hours a month. Now imagine that, on the road 40 hours a month, getting back and forth to their jobs.
Los Angeles.
And that's in Los Angeles. So it's getting incredibly impossible, and they're really, really wanting to see change, and they're gravitating to different places as Crestone, Colorado here for whatever reason. They're coming here because there's a lot of us that are wanting to see things change, and communities, people coming together, doing what we need to do to make the changes we need.
So we've got the young, the old, we've got all these different people, and I'm going to challenge other grandmothers who are listening. Join our groups. Go to the 1,000 Points of Light. Join up on Facebook. We're going to start creating there soon. It's relatively new. Some of you grandmothers, commit yourself. Talk to your people in your area and be one of those points of light. Be a place next year that stands up and says, okay, we're part of this. Now we need to speak. And just see what comes through. I'm also, Amber's standing here again. She probably has more to say. But before she does, I just want to mention, when she was speaking as a young woman a little while ago, Two Dog, did you hear us 50 years ago?
Yeah. It's extremely similar, man. I mean, here's what we were. Now, I have to admit, when I started marching in 1968 and around 67, 68, how do I put it? We were called everything in the book, from soulless to I don't know what all, because we were on the street marching, and we were doing this for peace, man, with Martin Luther King. And if you look at what happened with the Martin Luther King movement, people actually started to resonate with each other. So the communication we had no communication gap with the young people. We were all talking with each other at one time. So there was a lot of love, honor, and respect right there.
You're absolutely right. And so thinking back to that, we had a lot of people then who had never really, a lot of white people who had never really connected with African Americans or other people of color before that. And conversely, we had a lot of African American people who had never connected with white people before. So that was a great piece. And we saw that again in Standing Rock. When Sue and I were there, right next to our camper was a French couple. We couldn't speak their language. They couldn't speak ours, but we knew exactly what was going on. There was a black couple just down below us. Of course, there were a lot of native families there. There was some yellow people working in, I can't remember, I think the food area. And so once again, we had all the colors there, and there was no problem or issue, except sometimes we laughed because we couldn't understand something.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where we need to go again.
Okay, brother, I got a question from over the pond. They missed a little bit of what the 1,000 Points of Light is about. Can you give a brief recap, please?
Happy to. 1,000 Points of Light. It's growing out of the World Summit, which is there to create a shift in paradigms. 1,000 Points of Light is we want to see 1,000 groups around the globe come together to start sharing ideas. And then in next June 2019, to have this huge event where we're all available for 11 days and all use our own ways. Some will be in prayer, some will be doing ceremonies, some will be having concerts, some will be educating. Hopefully they'll all do a little bit of each of them. And we will be connected virtually. There'll be live streaming and live streaming with the World Summit. The goal is to create a brand new paradigm for how the world works. This has never been tried at this level before. I don't know how many people are going to show up. That's not my job to worry about it. But I think it's going to be a lot of people, and we want everybody involved, every culture, every type of person, anything you can imagine, so that this will happen in a good way. Because once that happens, then the work really begins. We got to heal some of the things we've done to this planet and to each other, and then move ahead in the best possible way. Does that work?
I mean, that works for me because honestly, to be honest with you, and the way my mind works is we're all related here. My mind has always worked with my heart, okay? And what it is that what James is saying is that we can all start talking with each other now also, So is that what you're saying? We're all being able to communicate. And even if we can't communicate, we still got a way of communication. Yeah, is that right, Jane?
Yeah, that is right. And you see, Sue and Amber were going to be listening downstairs, but they couldn't somehow access the channel. So they're both up here with me. And so I have two women here. I'm not going to say you can't talk. So here's Amber again.
Hi, it's so nice to hear you too, Dog. And something Sue said gave me a segue into I like practical, simple solutions. And so this communication piece, what comes up, what keeps us separate is that piece of fear. And the fear comes up inside. And so what can we do about that? And I've been sitting with this, and it's like time to invite fear as a welcome guest. Not to run the show, but to find that fear is showing us a place inside ourselves where maybe there was a moment we didn't receive the love that we could have, and it's time for us to give that love to ourselves. So in walking this way forward and bridging these gaps between communication of all races, all people, all family, all tribe as one, all two-leggeds and those creatures, when the fear comes up inside, it's about awareness to notice it and then embrace it and listen to what that fear wants to tell us. And then there's that gem, and that's the inner work that we can do to step forward to really create the connections, is to that self-love practice. And as we begin to change that dynamic within ourselves, then when we can meet each other as the Buddha in all walks of life, no matter where a person is coming from or what they're bringing up inside of us, and triggering that fear and how to connect beyond that.
There's an old saying, and I can't remember, I think it's from the Yellow Races, I'm not sure. If you fear me, you will hate me.
I see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, and so fear has to go.
I think you know me by now that as far as fear goes, I have not been very fearful. what I used to do is that if it was wrong, I went right into it. And, of course, going right into it is why I'm in the condition I am right now, but it actually helped me be who I am, And working together for the benefit of the whole is the basis of this. Is that what pretty much the saying, ain't it, Jim?
It is, and maybe that's one of the reasons we're together, because I've always functioned that way too, and I'm jumping right at the fear again now, as we're being asked to step up and do even more, and it's affecting me physically in a big way. But we can't let that stop us. Fear is the only thing that can stop us, and if we allow it, then that's our choice, but we don't have to allow it. Once you know someone or something, you no longer fear it. Because as you've been saying all along, and again today, we're much more similar than we are dissimilar.
Yeah.
Lakota, Mitakwiyase, all my relations. Mayan, you and you or me. Aborigine, I'll walk with you in my dreams. I mean, I can go on and on. That concept is there. It's just we all have to do it.
That's the point of the concept in general, is that it's there. We just have to do it. Exactly. The thing about it is, James, we have us that we have been talking. I've been talking for over 50 years. I'm just saying. I've been talking and marching and talking for 50 years. And it honors me. It really humbly honors me that you have two lovable ladies that are standing with you right now. And I would love to hear more of what they both got to say. I mean, it's been awesome.
Okay, they're here. Be careful. This is like Two Dog. If you go to an elder and tell him... Huh?
Yes.
You there? You're breaking up.
I do what now?
You're breaking up. Say again.
Missed you. Yeah, I'm breaking up a little, probably. I'm sorry. But go ahead. I said, what was... I was just wondering what you were saying a minute ago.
Oh, okay. Good. Got you now. I don't know what I was saying a minute ago. Started to say something. Probably wasn't very good. But no, I think it's interesting that their computer wouldn't work downstairs, so they ended up here.
Hang on a minute ago.
Yeah, if we want him to talk more, we can hand the stick back to him. It says Two Dogs gone. He'll be back. Well, it looks like Two Dog may have got cut off, so we'll just keep talking. I know he'll be right back. I was saying, I was going to joke a little bit. There's an old saying, if you ask an elder in the native tradition, if you ask an elder to speak, you better tell him for how long, otherwise he may speak for 2 days. So we just have to be careful. If we ask these ladies to speak, we may never get off this show. It was just a joke.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're back.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yep.
Okay, I apologize, but it was something you said a minute ago, and I was wanting you to get it out because I think I interrupted a little bit, and I do apologize. But I have a question for both of you, for you and the ladies, okay? So I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, for this computer mess up I just had. But do you or do you not think, and James, I'm just going to be blunt about this, do you think the animal life, okay, do you think they're trying to tell us something? Because the reason I'm saying this is I was sitting on my front porch just the other day, and I had a deer. She come up to my porch and brung a baby that was dancing around my front yard, and she just stared at me for like 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then shook her head and off they went. So, what do you think of that?
I'll go first, and then I'll hand it to them. Well, for me, it's a real quick answer. Hell yes. I was driving this morning to go to the doctor's because this standing up against fear again, like I said, is hitting me physically. And on the way, I had to go back on this back road I take, and I like taking. And there was a coyote standing right there. And he watched my car come, and he didn't move. And he didn't slink down. He just stood there staring at me. I actually stopped, and we stood, I don't know, a foot and a half apart. I was in the car. He was right next to it. And I don't know, probably only lasted 90 seconds, but it seemed like 2 hours. And so I gave thanks for that. And then as I pulled down a little further, there was a hawk flying at something on the ground, I'm sure trying to get a meal. And the next thing I know, this little tiny bird is chasing that hawk across the field. And so I'm not quite sure what they were saying. I have to sit with this later. But they are talking to us because, and I say this respectfully, and some people may not like it, as human beings we are intelligent, no question. We have supposedly the larger brains on the planet, although the whales and the dolphins and elephants might debate that. But being intelligent doesn't mean we're wise or smart. The animals are much smarter than us. They know when they can do something and when they should not do something. They know how to take care of 7 generations without even thinking.
I agree.
So shall I hand it to the ladies? Here they come.
Yes, sir. Hand it to the ladies.
I'm getting out of the way, brother.
It's just, staying awake and being observant and just watching the wildlife around you, the birds. The hummingbirds, they'll come right up in the window, and if their nectar is low and it needs to be changed, they'll just flutter right in your face and say, okay, hey, I'm here, we need some fresh nectar. It's just really allowing yourself to be open and alive and awake. I mean, look at wolves and their packs and their family members. If there's not enough food source for animals in the wild, they don't procreate. They physically, their bodies change, and they know when they can bring on siblings and when they can't. It's just, and the wolves are just, they're a good example because they're so family oriented and they're so powerful, community minded, and it's just really incredible for them to be. They're here. We just have to pay attention and listen to them and watch and observe. And they aren't all trying to tell us things that we're not listening.
Yeah, one thing I'm feeling is the bees. We really, really need to listen to the bees right now and become beekeepers and keep that pollination of our seeds alive. And that piece of fear coming back is we don't want to move forward with our actions in fear. And so the fact that the bees are dying and all of these things are happening on our planet, they can bring this huge overwhelm and sense of fear. And that's why I was inspired to speak on the piece of inviting that in, as opposed to resisting. Like, we don't resist the heat in a sweat lodge, we invite it in. So as we invite the fear in, it begins to dissolve and teach us something. And there's a within that so that we can move forward with our actions in a good way, coming from a place of love. And then our intuition, that's our protection mechanism, gets separated from that sense of fear. So just listening to the bees and bringing that sweetness back in, they're telling us something about this planet, and just the little components that we can do is enough. What we can do in our small sphere of the planet, water some flowers, plant some seeds, that's enough. And so to let the rest of the fear dissolve and to become that fuel for the fire that creates that love in our heart to step forward in a good way.
Jim, I couldn't have said that no better myself.
That's good, because you didn't.
I know, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, the thing I've been seeing recently, I'm just saying recently, is the young people are starting to come out again. So in a lot of ways, I'm like an elder sitting there looking at what I did. If you understand, I'm looking at what I did all over again in certain aspects. So in other words, I think it's a rebirth of maybe a peace movement that was in the 60s. Maybe that's what it is.
I don't think it ever died, brother. I think we went below the surface because we didn't have enough people, we didn't have enough support, we didn't have enough understanding yet, and we were not practicing in a peaceful way. Now, I listen to Sue and I listen to Amber, and I hear peace in every word they say.
Yeah.
And so that was really, really needed. I'm also thinking, and Sue said something to me, and I was thinking the same thing. Listening to these people, these younger folks, they're not afraid to say what needs to be said. They're not afraid to face the fear. And that goes down. That goes down to the 20-somethings, down to the teens. I mean, we're seeing amazing energy from some of the really young people. And so, yeah, it's surfacing again because we've been feeding it. We've been helping that garden grow. There's times I know I doubted it. You probably doubted it. But it's always been there. And now, get out of our way, watch it come.
I'm not going to lie. I doubted it myself. Right after 1969 was over, I started seeing different changes, you see. But I am seeing pretty much what is starting to happen again. And I consider that a rebirth. And a lot of times in a rebirth, it starts awakening other people. And to the point that, elders, young people, men, women, black, white, yellow, red, we're starting to talk to each other. And that's the main important thing, that we are able to talk. Like, James, I will let you know that, we just, here where I live at, we just got the 70th flag in as far as South Korea. It just came in. So my vision of what I've seen, what I saw, is actually coming to pass, and it's coming to pass real quick. So, bro, I like what you're saying and how this thing is running. Now, you did have people, I think the last time you and I spoke on one show, you actually had people having a conference in Mexico, yeah?
Yeah, that was actually how we kicked off the World Summit Group. I think, I want to say 13 or 14 of us went there. So we were from around the globe. We had native people, we had people from Scandinavia, we had someone from Africa. And so that's when we sat and said, all right, how do we move this thing ahead? And the idea for this big event evolved. And that's coming along nicely, and I invite everybody to join our World Summit group. And then that, to me, evolved into the 1,000 Points of Light, because I want, again, all those aspects in there. I want art. I want music. I want prayer. I want ceremony. I want everything. We've waited too long, dog. Damn it, we ought to be able to want what we want.
Well, when you say things like, we want everything, okay? I want to see the goodness of everything. I want to see people of all colors, coming and dancing with the Indian people. You know what I mean? In the big intertribal thing. I want to see people of all people in a great council together. And I see exactly what you're saying and where you're coming from. Oh, take it for me for one more time, and say some more for what you have.
Boy, we've said a lot. I'm looking forward to getting the archived version of this. We need to post this around. I had no idea that we were going to have 4 of us on here, but wow, So many things we said here. I hope all the listeners, if you thought this was worthwhile, share it with people, because we need people to hear this. We need all of us to stand up together. In that way, we will get it done.
Well, that's one of the things, and one of the reasons that I brung you in here is, and the ladies too. I am so grateful for both of the sacred feminine's voice here, because that is absolutely helping me. The fact of the matter is to have their voice with ours, and it's pretty much resonating the same. That's what means a lot to me, and a lot to you, James, I'm sure. And if you, ladies and gentlemen, on Wolf Spirit Radio and People for People, if this resonates with you, contact them. Let them know that this is exactly the situation. Let them know. But James, I think there's another question in this chat room. So if you want to say it, I'll say it for you, James. It says, is James aware of the Illuminati connection to the reference of the 1,000 points of light?
Yeah, and I said something about that at the beginning. Not specifically that, but 1,000 points of light has been used for many things. The Illuminati is one. I remember George Bush used it. I think.
Yeah, he used it.
Yep, George Bush the Senior used it. And there's a lot of other ways, too. We're using it differently. We, the people who are doing this, are going to be the 1,000 points of light in a totally positive, totally proactive, and growth way. Because we want to illuminate this whole damn planet. We want that white light everywhere. Depending on what your culture is and what your myths are, we want the white wolf to be fed and the dark wolf to starve. And that's what the points of light is about. So all past uses of 1,000 points of light or any other labels we use no longer carry any energy, in my thoughts.
Okay, let me add to that a little bit, James, because I heard about the good wolf, the bad wolf, and things like this. For those who do not know, that's kind of an Indian thing here, that inside every one of us, and including myself and everyone else, is that you have a good wolf and a bad wolf both inside, and they're fighting. They're fighting with each other constantly, with each other. And the one who wins is the one you feed the most, whether it be the good wolf or the bad wolf. Right, Jane? You see what I'm saying? It's you see that I had to say it. I heard it.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right, and it comes from the old story of the elder teaching the young guy, and he finally says, the young guy asks him, well, how the heck do I let the good wolf be the one that's dominant? And the elder tells him, whichever one you feed. So 1,000 points of light, we're feeding the light. We are going to feed the light. We all need to feed the light.
Now,
so, yeah, absolutely.
I do agree with you. I do agree with you wholeheartedly. The thing about being able to speak with each other is the main point and the main purpose here. And since since I was elected, I'm sitting with people from Wiltshire and Eastern Band Saligi. I'm sitting with the Mahdi. I'm finding out that when I sat with them, is that culturally we may be different, but we're all alike. We all want the same thing. Or is that similar to what you're finding out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I've lived and worked and learned from so many different cultures, and yeah, it's absolutely right. And I've brought friends. I've brought Lakota friends down to Central America to be with my Mayan friends, and I brought my Aborigine friends to be with some of my Native friends, and listening to them, That's what they say too. Hey, we're so similar. Even when I sat with and learned from my Aborigine friends, and in the Aborigine way, dream time is reality. Everything we create is actually in dreams, and when we're awake, we simply enact it. And at first I thought, oh my God, I'll never understand these people. But the more I worked with them, the more I realized, no, it's still the same. Because how do we know if we're creating when we're asleep and when we're awake? I think we're doing it in both. I know I'm connected to Great Spirit most, right?
But yeah, we're when it comes to the way I look at things, real quick, James, is that every step I take is a constant talk and a constant prayer with the Creator. Now, I call him Gitchimani too. You may call whoever calls him God or whatever, Buddha, whatever way you call him. The main thing is every step I take is a one-on-one relationship. You see what I'm saying? But ain't that everyone? Everyone has that, and it's everything is so similar that we gotta. How we even end up dividing each other is incredible, because everything seems to be so similar in itself, especially nowadays, in nowadays time. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's some of the, in my opinion, that's some of the good outcome of all the horrible and negative things happening around us. It's making that nonsense very visible to us. It's making us see that we're being caused to hate each other, to fear each other, rather than coming together and joining hands. And that's absolutely a positive thing.
And that's where, as a woman, when I see an imbalance in an approach, I find that what I'm shown is that piece that where someone was not given the love or the support or the tenderness that would have really assisted them in opening to their heart space. And so when we come up against that and there's someone acting through that way, that's the inviting it in and softening and the self-love of loving those pieces of ourselves that didn't receive that, so that then we can shine that light and it dissolves and there is no more fight.
You know what? I need these ladies around my couple half the time. This is great. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
James, the thing that I talk with the grandmothers and the different women in my tribe and the other women that I meet is that even if I'm having a bad, terrible, terrible day, it seems like the sacred gentleman, if I speak to him, it's like my heart gets lifted up. I'm better. And it really does something for people, And I tell you what, James, are you good to go for the rest of the show, or do you how are you?
Absolutely. What can we do? Another 4 or 5 hours? What do you want to do?
Oh. Okay, rock and roll. Okay.
This is great, and I really want to. I know a lot of people are going to listen to this. It's incredible that the women were here today too, and so we're feeling exactly what we're talking about, because it's this particular earth, and I don't want to get into all the old prophecies, but in many cultures this is the 5th or 6th earth, and this one's been controlled by the men. Past ones have been controlled by women, and they didn't do so well either. So this one's the men, and we've screwed it up. So we need to hear the young, we need to hear the women, so that in the next earth we all do really step together in harmony and equality, peacefully, all those pieces.
Well, I got a little story. I got a little story that I'm going to share with you, and I'm just going to say I want to hear what the ladies actually have to say about this, and actually you too. And the reason I'm saying this, ladies and gentlemen, it's because a lot of times in this world, when the young people, when children are speaking, want to speak, a lot of this time people go, no, go over here, you don't know what you're talking about, and all this, or the adults are talking, or something of that manner. And it's not right. I don't think it's right. But this story comes from a little 9-year-old girl. Okay, this 9-year-old girl is actually my daughter, and I'm going to see what you guys think about this real quick. I was at my house with my family, and I seen this guy get out of a car, and he was a heavy-set guy, and he had like a belt on, but he also had galluses, which made me think he didn't trust himself. I didn't know what was going on. And he come and knocked on my door, and I answered the door. And he asked me, of course, he was a preacher, actually. And the preacher asked me if I was a Christian. I said, no, I'm a traditional. He didn't know what that meant. So I said, traditional Indian. And the guy said, oh, you don't know God. Wow. So I want to see where he's going, right? So he started to pat the holy book, all right? And what he stated was, he said, it states in the Bible that races shall never mix, or shall not mix, okay? So right before I could answer him, I look at my little 9-year-old daughter, and she ended up pulling my shirt. And I said, yes, honey, what you want? She asked me, she said, can I answer him? I let her do it. And she answered him. She said, I have a question for you. He said, yes, hon, what is your question? And she said, if the races are not supposed to mix, how come the Creator made the pieces fit? Now, that comes from a 9-year-old girl. And she asked me if she did something wrong because the guy left so quick. And I went, no, honey, you didn't do anything wrong. But what do you think of that, what this young child did?
I always think the children have the answers. My son is 13 now, and he's such a gentle, sweet soul, and I just let him guide me. When he was 3 to 5 years old, he knew where we were supposed to be and what we were supposed to be doing. And do you have anything to add to that, Sue?
Yeah, I just, I remember, growing up, and definitely there was a lot of that, hush, go away, you don't know what you're talking about, you don't have anything important to say. And that was truly the wrong. But the young ones today, they've come into this world with so much more energy and so much more knowledge, spiritually connected. It's thoroughly amazing and boggles my mind. My grandson's turning 17, and what has been coming through him from his voice is just, it's just so empowering to me to hear, because they do have the answers. They do understand and know what we need to do to survive on this planet and what we need to create. And it's just, it's really powerful that, your daughter could speak and she could say what she needed to say. And it's true. I mean, I grew up in an area that I didn't even know black people existed, and I'll use that word, because there weren't any. And I didn't realize until I went into the military, into the Air Force, the diversity that was around me. So it's just each generation that comes in is a little stronger than the one before, and that's what's going on now, and I think that's what we need right now.
Wow. There we are again. James, it's just I do have to admit it's enlightening to hear the female side of this, and working, and as we're working together for the benefit of the whole. That's the main point. Men, women, young, old, we all work together for the benefit of the whole. That's the thing. That's a tribal mentality, okay? The same, we, us, our situation. And, James, that's why I'm trying to work with you so hard right now, is because I believe that we need to do this worldwide, don't you think?
Absolutely. One mother, one tribe. There's no choice. If we're going to really accomplish what we're setting out to do, we have to do this together. And I know we can do it, because I really like what you said earlier about feeling the energy of the 60s reappearing. Because I know you're right, and I'm going to sit with that quite a bit, in a different way, in a better way, in a stronger way, and all of us coming together as one, and stop. Don't just go out there if you're a woman and march about women's rights. Don't just go out and march about youth rights if you're a youth. Go out there and march together about everything we need to do.
Well, I agree with you, James. It's not just, march about women's rights, march about human rights, march about the earth's right, march about everything. If it's wrong, stand up to it. That's what, I hate to say it, but that's what I did in the 60s. And I'll do it again. I mean, I know me. I'll do that again. But, the system that I do in my council is I have an old way of doing things in the council. I use a feather circle. And we all come together in that feather circle, and from the least to the chief, we all have a voice, from the youngest to the oldest. And where I look at things is that we live in a time from childhood to childhood. That is the great circle of life. And ladies and gentlemen, in this great circle of life that we live in, if the water goes bad, that circle of life is broken. If the wolf is gone, the deer overpopulate, disease happens, that circle is broken. Everything on this planet, from the bees, the little ants, to the trees, the winged ones, the four-leggeds, the plant peoples, the two-leggeds. Everything is here for a reason. And any part of that is gone, we take a chance on our own life, don't you think, Gene?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And that's what Standing Rock was about, Minnie Lucana. Water is life. But a lot of other things are life, too. So, yes, we have to continue to fight these fights in a peaceful way, a good way. But at the same time, we have to fight this overall fight, because that's how we'll change things. That's how we start to cure the causes. That's how we get positive. And we can do all this. We've got the energy. We've done it before. Yeah, you and I are older. Well, at least you are. I guess I'm younger, but anyone who knows this, I'm actually older than Two Dog. But we'll go out there and walk again, won't we, brother? I mean,
well, yes. I mean, here's the thing, brother. We met when you were 18 and I was 8 years old, okay? And I'm going to say this right now. I'm 59 years old. I just turned 59. And to be honest with you, inside myself, I'm just going to say, inside myself, I'm still a kid. I'm still that kid. I'm still that kid inside. I feel this. I want to be involved in everything. If it's in a good way, I want to be involved in it. So, I agree with you, James. I'm just that kid too. I mean, it doesn't matter how old I get, I still feel that kid. You see what I'm saying, James?
Yeah, I think maybe the body gets older. Yeah, the body gets older, the spirit gets younger.
Yeah, I feel that too, Doug, what you were speaking of the children and giving them a voice. I was recently looking on the computer and I saw this, he was like 14 and he had developed a way of cleaning the oceans and cleaning the water, and these new technologies to clean the water, Mini Wachone, it's so important, water is life, they are here. It's just about us having the access to implement them, and that's the shift that we're going through right now, is the shift of the powers that be, and we don't know what that looks like, but all we need to do is trust in Great Spirit, trust in our guidance, and do what we can to create that availability for these children who are coming up with these ideas of like taking the trash and creating fuel out of trash that can run our cars, that can run our homes, free energy, free resources. This knowledge is coming in, so it's just about changing the systems and trusting. We just need to remember to fully back dive into trust and to keep walking that good walk.
Uh-oh, did we lose Two Dog again? We may have.
We might have.
Oh, I agree.
You're back.
I totally agree. It's hard to disagree with these ladies. I'm going to be honest.
Well,
if you got any sense at all, you can't disagree with this. But the thing about it is working together for the benefit of the whole, and this is what the World Summit is talking about, right, James?
Yeah, it is. The World Summit is. All the groups that will be working with us is. The 1,000 Points of Light is. It's gathering the tribes back together into one big tribe. So, and you made me see that today, too, Dog, as you were speaking. That's what it is. It's gathering the tribes. Bring them together. And yeah, how can you disagree with it when they're speaking the truth? We have people out there who deny everything right now. But anyone who really listens with their heart and their spirit, they know when people are speaking the truth. The kids sure do.
The children know more sometimes than the adults do, it seems to me. Or is that just me?
No, it's not just you. Absolutely right. Sometimes the adults will stay around and they'll listen to somebody who's bullshitting, and they'll still continue to listen. Yeah, I'm thinking of, like a person who's currently in the White House. They'll stay and they'll listen to him shoot the bull, and the kids, they just shake their head, get up, and walk away. Because they do understand the truth. They do hear the truth. They may not know all the nuances of it yet, but they know when someone is speaking true and when someone is speaking false.
James, I'm gonna do this. We got about 32, 33 minutes, I think, of the show left. I've heard Sue before, and the song was excellent, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to ask the ladies if they wish to give us a song. And Sue, I've heard you before, and you really touched my heart that one time. So, do you think you have something that you can give the listeners?
And I'll get out of the way again because you don't want to hear me.
All right, this is one that I wrote that I just like to sing because I think it really helps others open their eyes and their hearts. So here it goes. Be at one with your spirit as you walk here on this earth. Know that love that surrounds you was there for you at your birth. Every day is a blessing, sacred journey as you walk. Take the time that is needed to be one with who you are. Mother Earth really needs us to be whole and honor her, for she needs that love around her to be fruitful and give birth. So be loving to yourself, so your love can shine throughout. Being all that you can be will bring that love to all around.
Yes. Man. There you go.
Get ready. Here comes another one.
Uh-oh. Do I need to put the helmet on?
I was getting really shy.
No. That's not.
I have a lot of songs, and I just forgot all of them except for one, so I guess that's the one I'll sing. Calling all angels here to guide you. Calling all angels to surround you. Calling all angels to walk beside you. Love, may you walk on solid ground. Calling all angels here to guide you. Calling all angels to surround you. Calling all angels to walk beside you. Love, may you walk on solid ground. Oh, Sue's getting her flute. That's what I was hoping for.
You know, this is a wonderful show. It truly is. I appreciate this. This home makes me appreciate this. This is fantastic. Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
You know, Thank you so much. Oh, my goodness. That sets your heart up.
And, that's what we were talking about earlier, Two Dog. Bringing in all the pieces. So we've been doing some intellectualizing. We've been doing some chatting, some prayers, some ceremony, some music. And you see, we create a whole sphere of energy, spiritual energy.
Yes. It's a thing of the energy flow, okay? The energy flow. That's what I'm saying. Is the spiritual energy's flow can be so warm and inviting. You know what I'm saying? It's like it wraps itself around you. Especially like what these ladies just did for us, all right? You don't know how much I could feel the great spirit just wrap themselves around me right there. I've gotten to the point that this is, and it's a spiritual awakening as well, don't you think, Jim? Especially with the World Summit and what's going on around. And in other words, if you believe what you're hearing here and you like what you're hearing and you want to do, you ready, James?
We lost the last part of that.
That be about right?
We lost the last part.
What I'm saying is that if this resonates with you, what I'm saying altogether, even in the last part, is that if it resonates with you, start something in your own community and join in with the World Summit. Is that because that's pretty much what you're talking about, yeah?
It is. Join in with the World Summit so we can create this event. Join in with 1,000 Points of Light so your cultural group or community group or family group or whatever is there and represent it. Yeah, and just become one. One mother, one tribe. It's not difficult. It's just so big that sometimes people can't wrap their head around it.
Well, it's getting to the point, truthfully, guys, ladies and gentlemen, that you've always heard me before that's ever heard me on a show. I've always said that it's time to go back to the mountain and get focused. Because truthfully, the way the world's going, we've forgotten how to be tribal in certain aspects and certain situations, okay? But I've always said something about going to the mountain and getting focused. That's just to let you understand, ladies and gentlemen, that we're part of this Earth Mother as well. And we're here to be caretakers of this Mother also. And it's like the world's gotten a little out of focus, but it's like what you're hearing from these ladies and James himself and from myself is that we need to come together for the benefit of the whole and work for a purpose that's going to help humanity. And that's what you're talking about, right, James?
Yeah, absolutely. And all do our parts. When you were speaking a little while ago, and I might embarrass you a little bit, I apologize, but Two Dog is a chief of his people. We've said that. Most of you probably know that. That's a position of high honor and high respect. That's not given lightly. And it's also something you have to carry. It's a lot of work to carry that responsibility. And yet we listen to Two Dog, and what do we hear? We hear everyone in the circle was honored. That's what we need. That's the kind of leadership and community we need. Not what we have now when somebody thinks that they're elected or put into a position that they're, the be-all and end-all. They know it all, and whatever they want is what happens. That's the old way. It's not working.
James, this is the thing about me. I'm going to say it about me, period. At the end of the night, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just a man, okay? But if you are elected probably to be a leader, and if you become a chief, then you're a spokesman of the people. That's the thing. You're a spokesman for the people. So basically what I'm saying is that from the littlest to me in this nation, everybody has a voice. Everybody has it's a we, us, and our thing the way it should be. Okay? And I want to continue that. But I want to continue a we, us, and our understanding worldwide. Jim and ladies, if you understand what I'm saying. I want to make this a we, us thing worldwide, and maybe barter together, talk together, do something, and work this thing out. Because I was on a show, and there was somebody from somewhere else, but he was in Mexico talking, and that's necessary too. So you're talking around the world, Jim. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're talking to the whole world, because the whole world needs to hear, and the whole world is speaking to us, and that's exactly what needs to happen. We need balance at all levels, and Amber's pushing me out of the chair, so she let out some words on that.
I love this too, Dog. I love this approach of coming together as one people, one voice, of creating together and stepping into that one circle. And what was coming to me as part of the personal inner work that we could do of balancing our own masculine and feminine, because as we're feeling the feminine rising in the collective as well as in ourselves, there's a lot of wounding within and without, between those two aspects of the masculine and the feminine. So that I feel that the breath is the vehicle that really brings the inner transformation, and I practice Qigong and yoga. And so as we move forward with this inner alchemy so that we can bridge together as one people, there's this great forgiveness that we get to give to ourselves and to each other, and the shaming gets to end and all gets dissolved back into love. And there's been a lot of trauma, and so how do we step forward with that courage that it takes from our hearts to move from that place where we have been hurt and we have experienced things that could create an idea that we need to fear each other. So growing that courage within, using the breath to love ourselves and to really nurture, become our own mother and father, and then step forward with that peace so we can greet each other without those barriers between.
Well, ladies, and I'm going to say this with all due respect, okay? Ladies, this goes for both of you. It's like, I agree with what she just said, Jim, but let me say it like this. The way I do when I leave my house, I don't care if I know you or I don't know you. Even if I don't know you, I kind of know you, okay? Because we all love our husbands and wives when we come home. We're not that different around the world. But what I do to women, with women that I meet, black, white, yellow, red, brown, it don't matter to me. I always greet them the way I greeted both of you ladies tonight, because without you there'd be no life, and without there'd be no nations on this planet, and there would be no life, period, without the female part of it. And we have gotten away from the respect that we need to give to each other. So I say, to reach out your hand as a man to a woman and just say, I'm here for you, and that's all. I don't want nothing else. I'm just here for you. it's a good way to open an individual's heart and make that fear go away. And even if they go no and walk away, at least you gave that effort. So, so much respect to both of you. So, ladies, what do you think of that?
Can I say something first?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I got myself up off the floor and dusted myself off. So, I'm just thinking back to Dog, and then I'll turn it back to the ladies. We did a show recently. We had a guest on who was doing a good job talking about these same things. But at some point you mentioned, as we do this outside work, we must go inside and do the work too. And he had a real problem with that. It obviously triggered him in some way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you remember, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not pointing a finger or judging or anything. But the point is, and it was coming to me as Amber was speaking, it really is critical that we do the spiritual work too, that we go within. Because if we're not healing ourselves, if we're not loving ourselves, if we're not able to feel our own energy, then how in the heck are we going to connect with anyone else, whether it's a man, a woman, or anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, when I said that, Jim, okay, and that happened, I'm just saying that if a very small word like must would cause a problem, then the world's got a problem here. Because if you look at it, what I'm saying is basically, I speak for myself as well, is that I must see this. I must open my eyes. In other words, I got a thing, and I'm going to say it, and I want to hear the ladies, because I'm going to say this poem I got that I want to do real quick, okay? And ladies, just listen to the poem. The poem goes out like this. Close your eyes wide open and look within yourself. Walk upon this earth and feel the mother beyond your feet. Watch the wingeds as they run, as they fly, as they walk, as they talk to each other. Watch the four-leggeds as they play on the fields. So close your eyes wide open and see within yourself, and let your heart be telling of what you are to do. Use your heart that goes to your spirit, that goes to your mind. So close your eyes wide open and see the sand in time. With all these things that come to pass, our past was our future is our past. May we always understand that if we close our eyes wide open and see with our hearts, that can be another better day. I hope. So what do you think about that, ladies, guys?
Our hearts are the center. Our hearts are everything. If we can't go inside and we cannot feel what we see around us, even with our eyes closed, close your eyes and go outside and just feel the energy around you. Feel the wind against your face, your cheeks. Feel the sun on your face. Feel the warmth, the energy from the sun. And then open your eyes, and you can see the energy in the air. If you take the time to look, you can see how everything is connected. The trees have hearts. I mean, everything around us has a heart. And we all need to be connected to everything that we see around us. But we also need to be connected to ourselves and heal any wounds or anything that keep us stuck, keep us transparent, keep us from really being who we're meant to be. Because so many of us have gifts, and so many of us hold back And, you know, I speak for myself. I held back for many, 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 many years, just for my voice, for everything. And we just can't do that anymore because everyone needs to hear. Everyone needs to hear what their heart is saying, what their heart truly wants them to do and be and say and speak without that fear, and just do it, you know, just go with it. Just be who you are.
You know, Jim, only thing I can say about that, my brother, is this goes from a long way back into the 60s, actually. With what these ladies are saying, only thing I can say is far out.
Jim's waving to you from over there, and I love this 1,000 points of light, as I've personally witnessed what's possible when people come together, whether or not they're in the same space or at the same time, and they lend their energy and their hearts to a shift. It's so possible. We have, and they can measure it now with science. They're measuring our magnetism when we focus ourselves on what we love. It's measurable. So it's really interesting now that science is backing these things up that we all knew that prayer could bring forward, and prayer and art and dance and creativity, when we lend ourselves together, we can really create a shift. And I guess I was really feeling inspired to speak on what I was talking about previously, maybe because someone that might be listening maybe could benefit. Maybe someone's been through an experience and they're having a difficult time reconnecting. So that's maybe where that inspiration came to speak on some of what I brought up previously, is coming back from experiences that make us feel separate, and moving forward again into the heart space, regrowing the trust, regrowing that heart space that we have to connect with each other, and the breath is really the best vehicle to transmute any energy that we need to shift within.
Yeah, that's true. Because what we're doing right now on this radio show, guys, is that when we speak here, and people listen, or when we're speaking, we're giving that energy. You see, and the way I look at things, Grandfather gave each one of us some kind of power to use. And if we don't use it correctly, it can be taken as easily as he gave it. Now, one of the reasons I guess I'm so stuck on the last lady that just spoke is it's amazing, because you sound so much like a lady I used to know when I lived in the commune back in very early 70s. And you know, rest in peace, Joy. I hope I hope you safe journey. But it just made my heart fly. So thank you very much, my lady. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say it like this real quick too. Is what I was taught a long time ago by my elder is also go out, hug a tree, sit underneath her, because the tree is the connection between earth and sky. And once you hug the tree and you sit underneath it, you lament better, you think better. And that is absolutely true. Now, everybody knows that everything is here for a reason. And if you cut all the trees down, since that tree is breathing for you and you're breathing back for that tree, that if that tree is gone, you suffocate. So basically, it's that circle of life again, isn't it? So I'll tell you what, we got about, I say maybe 8 minutes left here. So what I'm going to do, Jim, is I'm going to back out. I'm going to let the two ladies have their voice first, and then I'm going to let you have the last word, bruh, and then we'll see what happens from there. So, Sue, would you like to start first, and then we'll go to Amber, and then back to Jim?
Yep, I'll get off the chair again. For you two, Dog, I just want you to know, as you were sharing that story, Amber looked at us and said, "Oh, Joy is my middle name."
Well, I'll be doggone. Okay. Wow.
Wow. I mean, there's Jim and I have part of the Shumei community, or we're going to be here in Prestone, and there's an old ancient tree there that's, I believe, about 600 years or older. And you walk around in this area, the trees are just so amazingly, the energy coming from them is just incredible. And I noticed that when we first came here for that short time when we went to visit this place and see if we really, wanted to be here. And without the trees, I mean, without anything in this world of nature, I mean, we're talking the natural world. This world that has been created with, these boxes we live in and these computers and the technology, they're stepping stones, and they've created some energy to help us spread the word and be able to get out there, and it's been amazing for that. I mean, Standing Rock alone was really amazing for how we connected with the world through that. But nature is what has the piece that's been missing with many, many people, and a lot of the children. I think there's children in cities who are afraid to walk on grass. They're afraid to go into the woods. There's so much fear of the wildlife, and people keep encroaching on, the wildlife's territory in so many places because the expansion, the people coming, and the buildings going up. And then they want the animals to be removed. Well, I'm sorry, but these animals were here first, and it's learning to live with everything around you and be part of everything around you.
So beautiful. I had the blessed opportunity to grow up in the redwood trees, and those old friends have been some of my greatest teachers, and I love that you brought that of connecting the earth to the sky and sitting near a tree. It's really true. It really does something for you to get your body against a tree and to feel that connection, to feel that life force. And in my walk of life, I find that I'm a bridge to assist what has gone out of balance and gone into some form of chaos to coming back into the love and back into the light, and that's just what I do. And so why I was called to speak on that is because I feel that in this moment of great shift and great change that we're in, that it can appear to be a lot of things on the outside, and it can really bring up that fear of how are we going to shift this whole ball. But that's really not what each of us needs to really be concerned with. Each of us needs to be concerned with our own piece, our own aspect, whether it's coming together in a circle and having a talk on a radio show so that it inspires someone, whether you are in a position of city council, or whether you're going to help grow a community garden, they're creating new systems where they're making little tiny homes for homeless people, and they're making gardens on their roofs, and then they're getting to sell that produce back to the people. So it's that reintegration. We need to work with what we already have, because that's what we've got. That's what we've got to work with, is what's in place. And so we can shift that really simply by just doing our piece and coming into that motivation within to really step up and make a change for the 7 generations ahead and the 7 generations behind.
Jim, back in the seat and out the floor.
Okay.
Your last word, brother, and then we will. I'll send this show off. So give me your last word, bro.
Okay, I'll try to keep it short, because if we had time for you to do a little ending prayer, it would be really powerful today.
I would love to.
Good. I had no idea this show was going to evolve this way, but I'm just remembering, brother. Last week we couldn't do the show because I had to go to the doctors and I got late. Well, obviously there was a reason, because we didn't even know Amber yet, and Sue's computer wouldn't work. So boom, we're all up here. So this is Creator guiding us, for sure. Now back to Two Dog to bring it out in a good way.
I would say it like this: Kichimani tu Wakan Tanka Tankashila. God, Buddha, all the names that people call you around the world, hear me. I am weak. I send this weak voice to you, hear me. Grandfather, we are thankful today that we can have this love among people. Grandfather, we are thankful that this can come out, and that there is but one tribe, and that is the rainbow. Grandfather, we thank you for the earth mother that we walk on, that she feeds and clothes and does all. Grandfather, we are thankful for the sun that we have greeted this morning, and we are thankful for the mother moon that we will meet tonight. Grandfather, may we walk in humbleness, and may we always put ego aside and look at our brothers and sisters in this world. And may we always, always put our hands out to our brothers and our sisters who are down, and may we always pick them up. And Grandfather, with all due humbleness and all due tears in the eyes, may we always be blessed. And thank you for the blessings that you have given us, Grandfather. And may we always share this and never stop. Aho Matako Api. Guys, take us out, brother. One thing before we go, thank you, Wolf Spirit Radio, and thank you also, People for People Radio. And it's been a blessing to be here. Thank you, God.
Good evening and welcome. You are tuned to People for People Radio.